You are sealed inside a machine that should not feel this small. Above you, the surface is already gone. Around you, the ocean is pressing on every rivet. It is 1915. Submarines are no longer fantasies, but they are not yet safe machines. They are experiments with crews inside them. This dive is supposed to prove the boat can survive depth, cold, leaks, and time. But underwater, proof can become punishment. The hatch closes with a sound that feels final. Fresh air becomes a memory. Every man inside now depends on steel, rubber, batteries, and luck. The first danger is not dramatic. It is quiet. A drop of water appears where dry metal should be. Early submarines lived between invention and failure. Their hulls could submerge, but every descent tested the limits of workmanship and nerve. You look at the depth gauge. The needle moves slowly, almost politely. But the pressure outside is not polite at all. At shallow depth, the boat groans. At greater depth, the hull begins to speak in sharper sounds. Ticks, pings, and sudden metallic knocks. No one inside can see the whole ocean. You see only gauges, valves, pipes, sweat, and the faces of men pretending not to listen. The ballast tanks are the gate between floating and sinking. Open too slowly and the test fails. Open wrong and the boat may not come back. A hand turns a heavy valve. Water enters where engineers expected it to enter. But survival depends on water staying away from everything else. Below the deck plates, batteries wait in darkness. They power the submerged boat, but they also hold one of its most feared secrets. If salt water reaches the battery acid, the danger changes shape. The enemy is no longer pressure. It is poisoned air. Chlorine was already a terror of the First World War battlefield. Inside a submarine, the same kind of gas risk could have nowhere to disperse. You smell metal first, then oil, then something sharper, something that makes every breath feel like a question. The commander does not panic. Panic uses oxygen. Panic spreads faster than any leak. Orders move in low voices. Check the bilge. Watch the gauges. Listen for the pumps. Every instruction is simple because fear makes men stupid. The submarine is not a room. It is a corridor of machinery. To move, you turn sideways. To think, you fight the noise. Above, a ship can burn or run. Down here, there is no running. The walls are your shelter and your prison. The temperature drops. Cold water steals heat through metal. Your hands stiffen around tools that suddenly feel too small for the job. A primitive gauge trembles. Is it showing depth or fear translated into brass and glass? In 1915, instruments were trusted because there was nothing better. The boat dips slightly lower than planned. Not much, just enough for everyone to understand that the ocean has noticed the mistake. The pumps begin their hard work. Their rhythm becomes a kind of heartbeat. If they stop, the silence will be worse than the noise. A rivet weeps. A seam darkens. The water is not flooding in, not yet. It is introducing itself. You press cloth against cold metal while another man reaches for a wrench. It is not heroic. It is desperate maintenance under pressure. The air grows heavy. Carbon dioxide does not announce itself like smoke. It creeps into the body as headache, confusion, and slow weakness. Every breath now has a cost. You try to breathe less, but the body does not negotiate with fear. The commander orders unnecessary lamps dimmed. Light becomes rationed. So does movement. So does speech. In a modern submarine, systems would measure and correct more. In an early boat, survival depends on men noticing what machines cannot explain. The compass is difficult to trust inside a metal tube surrounded by equipment. Navigation underwater is not freedom. It is educated blindness. The boat turns slowly. Somewhere outside, there may be a harbor wall, a sandbank, a net, a chain, or simply deeper water. A wrong heading can become a coffin as surely as a broken valve. Underwater, geography is invisible until it is too late. The hull knocks again. This time, no one speaks. Each man privately decides whether that sound was normal. Your throat tightens. Maybe it is the air. Maybe it is fear. In this compartment, the difference matters less than the effect. A small leak appears near a pipe joint. The crew does not need a flood to be in danger. A submarine can die by inches. The bilge water rises slowly. It touches grime, metal shavings, oil, and battery risk. What should be below you now feels like it is climbing. Someone checks the battery space and returns with a face too controlled to be comforting. The order is given to prepare to surface. The boat has proved enough. Now it must prove the harder thing, returning. But surfacing is not simply rising. It requires trim, buoyancy, valves, pumps, and a hull that still agrees to be a submarine. Compressed air hisses through the system. The sound should mean hope. Instead, it reveals how much depends on pipes you cannot see. The bow lifts slightly, then hesitates. For a few seconds, the entire crew waits inside an unanswered question. If the boat is too heavy, it stays down. If the air system fails, it stays down. If panic begins, the crew fails before the machinery does. The depth needle starts to return. Slowly, too slowly. Every inch upward feels borrowed. The pressure changes. Metal settles with strange sounds. The submarine seems alive, but not friendly. A man coughs once. Everyone hears it. No one comments. In tight spaces, illness, fear, and bad air become public property. The porthole remains black. There is no sunlight yet. Just the suggestion that the ocean is thinner above you than below you. Another valve sticks. Two men work it together, shoulders pressed against pipes. Strength is useful, but timing is survival. At last, the boat rises a little faster. The crew does not celebrate. Celebration is for people who are already safe. The hatch cannot open underwater. That single fact sits in every mind like a locked door. A final shudder passes through the hull. Maybe it is the sea releasing its grip. Maybe it is a warning. Then the boat breaks the surface. Not triumphantly, awkwardly, like a thing pulled from a grave before the earth could close. Cold air rushes in when the hatch opens. It tastes dirty, wet, and beautiful. Men climb out slowly, not because they are calm, but because their bodies have been negotiating with fear for too long. The submarine rests low in the water, streaked with oil and salt. From the outside, it looks small. From the inside, it was an entire world. What did the test prove? That the machine could dive, that it could return, and that neither fact guaranteed survival next time. Early submarine crews lived inside a contradiction. The weapon of the future was also one of the most dangerous rooms ever built. Pressure, poison, darkness, and confusion did not need to arrive together. Any one of them could begin the disaster. In 1915, courage was not enough. Training was not enough. Engineering was not enough. Survival required all three to hold at once. The past gives no mercy to people trapped inside unfinished ideas. So place yourself back under the surface, inside the iron hull, with the air turning heavy and the gauge still falling. If the leak started again, if the batteries failed, if the ocean pressed harder than the rivets could bear, could you survive this?